It Wednesday, and this morning we're going over the playbook to accomplishing your biggest goals.
That playbook is written by a man who knows a lot about achieving greatness. You may remember Oregon football legend Alex Molden. He was on the U of O team in 1994 that won the Rose Bowl for the first time in more than 30 years. He's the author of a new book and joins us live with some tips to reaching your goals. Good morning, Alex. And I have to say, I'm a big Ducks fan, so I really followed your career. Great career. Appreciate what you did.
Thank you very much. I'm very glad to be here.
Well, the ultimate playbook for high achievement, that's the name of the book. So tell me what that's about and how this ties into keys for success in sports and life.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think a lot of us, depending on what our background is, like mine was in football, mine was in sports. And when I really looked at it, when I stepped away, right, from the NFL, I thought I knew who I was. I knew what I did. I did not know who I was. And after like talking with other athletes and then other people in different businesses, a lot of us, we get wrapped up into what we do and it becomes part of our identity. And then when we step away, we are lost. And I was that person. When I stepped away from football, I didn't know who I was. So it caused me, I needed to do a deep dive and to find out exactly who I was and what I wanted to accomplish in life after sports.
Well, in looking at that next chapter, were there things that you found that you were able to take from the field and to take from your football career into finding success in other areas?
Absolutely. So three things that really gave me success on the field, which was alignment, assignment, and adjustment. When I mastered those things, my football career took off. And when I was stuck trying to figure out who I was after football for many years, and I was depressed and I was, trying to figure out things. And when I looked at it, I said, man, that framework, if I can use that off the field, I think I can, be on to something. And so I started to apply those things in my life. I needed to, first of all, what's my foundation, right? How do I align myself? Is it my family? Is it my career? Is it my health? Is it my faith? And there's no right or wrong answer. It's just what gives you the most stability. And then when I started looking at like my assignment on the football field, I knew my job. And then when I got really good, I knew other people's jobs, their roles. Well, when I look at myself, it's like, when I dig deep, what's my purpose? What's my purpose? And once I figured that out, now, okay, what type of adjustments do I need to make in my character? What type of relationships do I need to make or break for me to get to where I want to go? And so when I start to lay those three things out, everything just took off in my life, in my career, at family, and out in the community.
You know, being a big-time athlete and playing sports at the highest level, you've encountered a lot of leaders and leadership styles. So what have you learned about leadership in your career, and how does that apply to your life after football?
I think one of the biggest things that people kind of get misconstrued is what leadership really is. Leadership is influence. People think about being a good person, being a hard worker. That's fine and dandy, but that's character. That's not leadership. Character is an influencer. So when I start looking, okay, in most of the relationships, those positions, right? I didn't pick those coaches. I did not pick Rich Brooks. All right. So I need to find out, okay, that's a position. All right. So I need to respect that. But what makes it more relatable is the relationship I have with different coaches, with different managers that I've had, relationships with my parents, right? Because they're in a position of leadership. That doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to be tight. But when I start to understand leadership and then influence and how to create these different relationships, and you got to create them by you have to be vulnerable. And that was really tough for me, being a former NFL, being vulnerable and being able to share those not just wins, but the losses. Once I did that, like the relationship relationships, the things that I started to create, it's really started to take off. But I you have to be strong enough to handle those losses and talk about it openly.
All
It's,
right.
it's so easy to think that like, oh, well, if it's sports, I'm not going to know what you're saying. But there's so much advice here that even for those of us who may not be very athletic, to
Yeah,
apply
this is
to
true.
any part of your life. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, leadership is everywhere. It's everywhere. We just got to be more intentional with seeing it, and then how do we use that?
All right. Well,
Yeah.
thank you very much, Alex Moulton. Some great stuff there and some really inspirational ideas for us. So we appreciate you joining us this morning on AM Extra.
Thank you very much.
All right.